Hello! In this video, I'm going to walk through the steps for setting up single sign-on and provisioning for Salesforce. So first, we're already logged into the CyberArk Identity Admin portal, and we're going to create a brand new role. Call it Salesforce Users, and save. And we're going to use that role later on, but for now let's go over to web apps and we're going to add the Salesforce web app template. So we're going to search for Salesforce and we're going to add the SAML plus provisioning version, not the user password. And then we can click close. I'm going to label this. And then we're going to go to the trust section. I'm going to select the metadata serial button under identity provider configuration. I'm going to expand on signing certificate and download the certificate, which we will use later. I'm going to scroll down and click on download metadata, which we'll also use later. And then we're going to switch over to the Salesforce admin portal. Right, so we're going to, basically we're just going to look for single sign-on settings, so all you need to do is just search for it and you'll find it. And we're already here. And then at the very top, we're going to click on the edit button and make sure SAML enabled is checked. And save. I'm going to click on the new from metadata file under single sign-on settings. And I'm going to choose the metadata file that I just downloaded from the admin portal. And I'm going to click on create. Now optionally we can go ahead and I'm going to change the name because whatever I put here is going to show up in the SP login for the on the login.salesforce login page. So if I want to choose my company name, and then I'm going to click on choose file for identity provider certificate and select the certificate I downloaded just a minute ago. And we're going to leave everything else as is. Now, optionally, we can go ahead and copy the custom logout URL and custom error URL from the CyberArk admin portal. So if we expand it to choose manual configuration, we can get the other two URLs if we wanted to add it in here, but it's not necessary for single sign-on. So I'm going to go ahead and click save for now. Then we'll scroll down and I'm going to click on download metadata file. Okay, so we got that second metadata that we downloaded from the Salesforce admin portal. Now we're going to switch back to the CyberArk Identity admin portal. We're going to scroll down to the service provider configuration, select metadata, and choose file. So this time we're going to select the metadata file that we downloaded from the Salesforce admin. I'm going to click on manual configuration to check on the fields. Yep, that looks correct. This looks all right. And then I'll go ahead and click save. Okay, so now to test, we're just going to go to permissions. Let's add that role that we created earlier. And to test single sign-on, I'm going to create a user. So I already pre-created a user that has the same email address as my default user. So for licensing sake, so if you have a developer portal, you're limited to 2 licenses only. So I want to limit the amount of users I'm creating. So I'm going to use, so I create a user that has the same email address as an existing user in Salesforce. Okay, so I'm going to add this user sftest to that role that we created. Okay, and this user has the same email address as my existing Salesforce user. So I'm going to my incognito window and putting in the username. And we're logged in. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and click on the Salesforce icon. And we're logged in. All right, so next we're going to go ahead and let me log out of this user. And let's go ahead and set up provisioning. All right, so for provisioning, we're going to go to search for apps, click on App Manager, and we're going to create a new connected app. Okay, make sure there are no spaces in the app name. I'm going to select Enable OAuth Settings, and let me check the callback URL. And I'm going to click on Application Configuration Help, Salesforce Provisioning. Okay, so I'm going to use this URL, put it in the callback URL. So there's 7 scopes that we need to copy over. Okay, and then we just need to scroll down and click Save and click Continue. And let's go back to CyberArk and go to the provisioning section for my Salesforce setting and select a checkbox for Enable Provisioning. I'm going to enter in my Salesforce admin user. Okay, for client ID, I'm going to copy the consumer key and put it into client ID. For client secret, I'm going to click on consumer secret and copy that, paste that in here. And then for the security token, we'll go back to the admin user here, and I'm going to click on settings under my user icon. So I'm going to click on the user icon, click on settings. So I'm going to click on settings for my user, And on the left, I'm going to go to reset my security token. Click on reset security token. An email is being sent. So I'm going to go ahead and check on my email. Here's my security token. It's case sensitive, so let's copy this security token and paste it into the last field. Okay, so let's click on verify, and we see more things show up underneath the verify button, so now we know that works. I'm going to make a few changes. I'm going to select sync override. I'm going to select do not deprovision. And actually, I'm going to leave that there. And then for the mappings, role mapping, remember that role that we created earlier, the Salesforce admin, Salesforce users role. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to specify the license. I'm just going to randomly choose a role, Salesforce role, like the marketing team. And let's also pick a license to assign that user. Okay. And that's it. So we'll save that. And so just want to show you that right now. If we go back to our Salesforce users. And look at active users. We really only have one user here that's licensed, so we have 4 right now. So we're going to create a new user in CyberArk. So I'm going to go back to CyberArk here. We're going to create a new user. So this will be SF test 2, and you want to make sure that the email address is unique. So there's no existing user on Salesforce or anywhere else that has the same username. So if you have another Salesforce instance, make sure it doesn't have the same email address. So now we're going to add that new user that we just created into our Salesforce role. Here's our second user. We'll now add that second user, save. And let's switch over to our incognito window. We're going to log in as our new user. Okay, I'm going to approve the MFA on my phone. And we see the Salesforce icon. Okay, this is a brand new user we just created. We didn't create this user in Salesforce yet, but when we create, click on the Salesforce icon. Okay, and let's check our users list here. User hasn't been created yet, so what we'll do is we'll do a manual sync. let's take a look at this. So we did, oh, okay, so some missing fields. So this is how you could troubleshoot why our new user wasn't able to log in. Okay, so let's go back to our user. Saying it doesn't like that, it doesn't have a, it's missing a last name. So I'm going to add a last name here, so hopefully that'll help. Let's kick off that sync again. Bypass cache. Let's look at the report. All right, so yep, that user already failed. That's fine. Now we see our second user got added, so that's good. And now let's switch over to our incognito window for our Salesforce test user 2 and click on Salesforce prod. And success. So we see our Salesforce 2 user got automatically added without us having to manually create this user. All right, hopefully this was helpful to you, and thanks for watching.